Hello everybody. Welcome along to your Rangers Rabble on a Monday evening at 6:30. It's the Rangers Rabble Women's Show. I'm Brian, the host, and with me tonight is Wolf, Demi, and Alan. Long time no speak, Wolf. How are you?
It must be all 40 minutes, Brian. Yeah, I'm okay. Yeah. Thanks.
Demi, nice seeing you. How are you?
You too. I am all right. Thanks. How are you?
Yeah, very good. Very good. Alan, nice little cheesy grin there.
Yeah, listen, I'm sure we all know why, but it's been a pretty good weekend. We'll forego the dramatics about the result at Easter Road, and we'll talk about it in about 59 minutes' time.
Absolutely. But no, we're reacting to obviously Rangers winning on penalties 4-2. The overall score after extra time was 3-3. I suppose we'll start with you, Alan. You were at the game. How was it?
It was probably one of the best, in some ways the worst Old Firm games I've been to in a very, very long time. There's so much happened in it. We were under cosh for a wee bit, and it looked like it might just not be a day, but the drama, there's spice in it. That this wasn't a timid game. There was aggression, there was a bit of feistiness in it, and there was plenty of action. Plenty of goals to get stuck into, and it was back and forward. There was a decent atmosphere. Crowded just under 1,000 yesterday, which was good to see. And we've talked a lot about the fixture clashes. Had it not been for both men's teams playing yesterday, I'm pretty sure that figure would have been significantly over the 1,000 mark. But certainly people watching on TV got two very, very good semi-finals in the Sky Sports Cup this weekend, and tough luck for Sky that they didn't show any of him.
Absolutely. Demi, it seemed to have everything. The only thing it didn't have was a red card, but it had everything else, didn't it?
Yeah, it was. Me and Dad. I did. And Dad did his best to watch over on my phone. We watched the sort of first 15 minutes before our game kicked off at Easter Road, and just when we went one down that early, you didn't know what to think. And I'd said to Dad before the game that with Grant Scott going in, he seems to know what he's doing, or I did at Hibs certainly. So I'd said to Dad before, I feared for the worst yesterday, but I'll happily admit that I was wrong. I will happily admit that. But yeah, like you say, a game had sort of dramatics at both ends of the park for, I was going to say 90 minutes, but no, 120 minutes, and then obviously the penalty shootout, which I'm sure we'll get to later.
Absolutely. Wolf, it was, behind early, equalised, and then went 2 goals down. It wasn't looking good, but good resilience from the women, coming back from 2 goals down. It's a difficult thing to do, isn't it?
I'll be honest, Brian, obviously we were, as Demi says, we were lucky enough to beat Easter Road, and just before it kicked off, for the men's team kicked off at Easter Road, Celtic took the lead. And we went, oh, that's not great. Then obviously we got the alert on the phones and the watches saying it was 1-0 up. We thought, great. Next thing we knew, it was 3-1, and I turned to Demi and she looked at me and we both sort of went, well, that's that then. We both simultaneously said, that's that then, because we thought 3-1 down. Obviously we've not seen much of it. I haven't seen any of it. Demi's seen a little bit on her phone, and I haven't seen how the game's going. But you go 3-1 down to a team like that. They don't generally lose a lot of goals, so you think, well, that's it, done. But to come back the way they came back, and having watched the highlights, I know highlights tell you, but thoroughly deserved the equaliser. I know Alan will be able to tell us whether that's actually factual or not. But yeah, absolutely buzzing that Laura Berry got the equaliser right at the death, as we'll get to as we go through the game. Lethal from a yard, as Demi said on the way out Easter Road. But I never ever for 1 minute thought a game starting 20 minutes before the one I was at would still be playing as I'm driving out of Edinburgh, and trying to watch the penalties as I was driving along Queensferry Road was quite difficult. And listening to the Gaelic commentary through the Bluetooth was a bit kind of. I was going by crowd reaction and how Demi was sitting in the passenger seat. It was all very odd, but ultimately a fantastic result, fantastic performance. We've all been very, very critical of Jenna in the recent past because she's prone to making a wee mistake, but she was absolutely magnificent yesterday.
Yeah, Alan, I think that's one thing we've got to take away from the game. She certainly had her fair share of critics, Jenna Fife, hasn't she? You know, she's made mistakes and stuff, but I think all the plaudits have got to go to her for yesterday, haven't they?
Oh, absolutely, and we'll get through talking about the game. There's a few people I'd like to shout out for their performances yesterday, but Jenna particularly, you know, as a goalkeeper, it's a lonely place. You know, if you make a mistake, invariably ends up costing a goal. But Jenna Fife has won his team points and got us through the cups on her own at times, and sometimes, you know, she needs her team to bail her out, but for 120 minutes and then into penalties, Jenna Fife was absolutely magnificent yesterday, and she absolutely deserved to be the hero. And we spoke to some of the players after the game, and you could see how much it meant for the players to see Jenna have that moment. You know, they were absolutely delighted for her, and comments were made along the lines of, we'll make sure she knows all about it tomorrow as well. So the players are, we've always talked about it being a really close-knit group and a good group, and I've no doubt the players are absolutely buzzing for Jenna, and she deserves every bit of praise going for her after yesterday.
Very much so. I think this is the fine line with goalkeepers, Demi, isn't it? You're either a scapegoat or you're a hero. There's no sort of middle ground with goalkeepers. You know, you've either done something wrong or you've performed amazing and saved the team. But as Alan's just said, you know, for 120 minutes, Jenna was, you know, collected everything. I mean, she maybe got unlucky with one of the goals, the second goal, I believe the Celtic goal. I think she got unlucky just with the sheer bounce of the ball. It didn't go her way. But apart from that, she collected everything. The penalty save in extra time, the 2 saves in the penalty shootout. It's that'll do a lot for her confidence, won't it?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, like you say, you're always the first person to blame a goalkeeper for conceding a goal. And, you know, you mentioned that second goal there. But, I mean, you've got to look at how the Celtic player got through, you know, picked the ball up in the middle of the pitch and pretty much got into the box unchallenged. And, you know, even in the box, our players are sort of, whatever was going on, they were effectively standing there watching them. So, you know, again, like you say, it's easy for us to sort of blame Jenna. But, you know, how's it getting there to begin with? But, yeah, you know, absolutely, especially, you know, the penalty save that Jenna had in extra time. You know, we know that their striker is, you know, she scores a lot of penalties and, you know, normally gets them spot on. But, you know, Jenna just, I mean, she said herself, you know, she had been writing everything down and had it on her bottle, studying it midweek. And, you know, also like Jenna said herself yesterday, yeah, we're giving her all the credit, fully deserved. But, you know, you've also got to give it to the rest of the girls who fought for 120 minutes, and a particular well done to those that scored the penalties I was going to say at the other end, but it wasn't the other end. But you know what I mean?
I know what you meant. Yeah, I mean, and even you know, Laura Berry, you know, scored on that goal just before half time. That was quite crucial. That gave, you know, a little bit of hope for the second half, and then obviously getting as Debbie says, the deadly from a yard. I mean, you know, right place, right time.
Yeah, I mean, before we go off of Jenna, I mean, let's not forget she nearly got to the penalty that they scored. I mean, she was very, very close to getting to that. You know, then she went on to save the one in the extra time, as you say, then the two in the shootout. But I mean, if you're going to score goals for a second team, get your team back into it right on half time, and then score the equaliser in stoppage time at the death. I mean, Laura Berry certainly picks her moments to score goals, and I mean, she's phenomenal. She's got a phenomenal future in the game. She's another one of these players we're going to be very, very lucky to hold on to. Sorry, Carl, but that's the truth. You know what I mean? She is absolutely phenomenal, and she absolutely loved it. I mean, I picked up something on the penalty shootout when I watched the highlights when she scored her penalty. And I know we're jumping all over the place here, but it's that sort of day. When she scored her penalty, she was giving something to the Celtic goalkeeper, and the referee must have said something, and she sort of went, "Oh, sorry," and walked back with a little wee cheeky look in her face. And that's just absolutely, to me, that's absolutely brilliant. It shows how much it means to her. You know what I mean? Absolutely brilliant. Just shows exactly how much it means to her. And then, you know, as I say, as we're talking about what Jenna was saying after the game and what the players were all saying, Alan, you know, and everybody that spoke to the players, Jenna said, look, and she's right. If you're a goalkeeper, you've got nothing to lose in a penalty shootout because nobody expects you to do very much. You know what I mean? If you save them, great. You know what I mean? There's more pressure on the striker because they can hit the keeper, they can stick it over the top, they can score, they do whatever. So there's not really a lot of pressure on the keeper. But I mean, she was brilliant. It was absolutely, I mean, it's one of those ones that I'm really, really sick of as a fixture clash, because what a game that would have been to be at.
I know. It's not something we haven't spoke about in this pod, is it? Fixture clashes with the men's and women's team. We've never
Don't
mentioned
get him
that.
started, Brian. Don't even get him started.
Once or twice. Tonight's not the night for that, but at least they've got the common sense again to have the final of the Sky Sports Cup on Men's International Weekend, so there cannot be a fixture clash, as they have done in the last few years. So at least we can all get to the final. So
absolutely. I mean, quickly, I'll just before we go through the game, has Jenna got a particular history with saving penalties? I mean, 3 penalties in one game is amazing.
Yeah, I think Jenna always looks like she's got a very decent chance for saving penalties. I'm sure she's had a couple of penalty saves, but I can't pick any out off the top of my head. But I'm certain I've seen Jenna save penalties before. She's fairly big as a goalkeeper in the league, so she's got a decent presence in goal. And you see goalkeepers move about a lot in the line. At penalties, Jenna stayed very steady. She had a sort of a low posture and was just ready to pounce. And, it must be really hard in a women's game to prepare for penalties in terms of what the opposition are going to do, because you don't see so many penalty takers. So it must be very hard to call how they're going to actually take a penalty, and it'll be very hard to get footage of a lot of the opposition teams taking penalties. So whatever work the team have done, is obviously helped Jenna, give her a lot of confidence, and whatever they've done has worked an absolute treat, because she could have saved the first one in the first half. She was very, very good to save a penalty in extra time, which could have just killed us off, and then two in the shootout. But I know we'll talk about the game and get to the shootout, but I was very, very pleased that we front loaded our choice of penalty takers. None of this leaving the striker to try and be the hero and take the 5th penalty. Katie Wilkinson, first penalty. Laura Berry, second penalty. And I think that was a massive statement of intent.
Yeah, I'm with you, Alan. I don't like to see your best penalty taker last. I always like to get, as you say, your number 9 should be taking the penalty first, set the tone, score the first goal, and get the penalties underway. So totally agree with that. I mean, we'll go through the team. Jenna Fife in goals, Nick Docherty, Laura Rafferty, Jess Pegram, Meng Wen Lee, Shin Ji Kim, Jodie McCleary, Caliste Brookshire, Mia McCauley, Laura Berry, and Katie Wilkinson. I mean, strong team, Debbie. Strong team.
Yeah, sorry, just before we mention the team, it goes on really well to you leading out the teams. And before we move on to the game, let's all congratulate Mia McCauley, because like I said, I don't think many people noticed it in the madness of yesterday, but yesterday was her 100th game for Rangers, and to do that at 19 is just mental. Like she said herself, to do it for the club you love, but to do it as a teenager for the club you love, it must be sort of something special. And I don't think she could have asked for a much better game for that to happen in.
No, not at all.
So she had her 100th game yesterday.
What was that, sorry?
We joked at the game yesterday. That's why she missed the game last week. So yesterday was going to be the number 100.
That's a hell of an achievement. 100 games, 19 years old.
She's not the first of the kids to do it, and she won't be the last.
No.
I mean, it's a testament to our youth system and to successive managers for putting trust in the kids. I mean, we always go on in the men's team, we never bring people through from the youths, and we don't, right? But the women do it all the time. I mean, we've already got the next batch, had some taste of first team football at 15. You've got Sasha and Phoebe O'Donnell and stuff Phoebe O'Donnell coming through. They've already had, and okay, it was through necessity because we were short of numbers, but they had the faith, they had the trust to put them in. So we've got May Croft, who was nowhere to be seen yesterday. 16 years old. If she's out of contract, she'll have 100 games for Rangers as a teenager. It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. And it's testament to the coaching staff, to the girls' academy, to all that. It's just for. I mean, when Demi told me yesterday, I was like, can't surely be our 100th game. You think about it, she's been a mainstay in the team for 2 or 3 seasons. So yeah, it makes absolute sense. And what a game to choose to be 100th game. Just incredible.
Yeah,
Yeah,
mental.
Brian, like you say, team line, very, very strong team line. Just go back to that. I think the only two surprises for me at the time, I'd said to Dad, I was a bit shocked that, Liam Gwen started over Leah Eddy, and I know she's just back from injury, but, that seemed a bit bizarre. And, the other one that, Dad's just mentioned is Maycroft being absolutely nowhere to be seen. Could be injured, but with Rangers, you never know because they don't tell you anything anyway. But and it was also obviously looking at the bench. It's nice. I know she was back sort of last week, but if I remember correctly, she didn't play. So, it's nice to see Kathy back in the squad and, coming off the bench late on. And so, yeah, good squad. The subs did well and nice to see some of them coming back.
Absolutely. Definitely. Now, Alan, it wasn't the best start for Rangers, was it? Losing a goal quite early. 16 minutes in, first goal goes in. Slight mix-up in the defence, you could say. Jess Pegram went for the ball, missed it. Striker goes through. There's a few passes, a square ball across the centre, and then I can't remember who scored the goal, McEnemy. And Fife was sort of glued to the spot. She didn't move, so that shot either took her totally by surprise, or she was expecting it to go to her right and she went to the near post. So 1-0 down.
Yeah, the ball sort of came across from the right. Probably a lot of their danger came from that side. We massively missed Ellie Austin yesterday, so the ball came across and the defence attacked it, and two or three attempts to sort of win the ball and clear it didn't come to anything. And McEnany's got loads of space at the back post and just been able to pick a spot. Not the start we wanted. We know they've had a lift since the change of manager. We saw what he did at Hibs. Won the league last season. He's went in there, gave him a bit of freshness. Overall, I think that's the best I've seen them play against us for quite some time. So they're definitely going to improve in the second half of the season. And knowing that we don't always do well against them, Broadwood, it was not the start we wanted, but we got a very good response to it, and we went up the park, and didn't take us long to get back in level terms.
No, Demi,
Brian,
23.
Brian, sorry to cut across you. It's great to have a Welling United fan in with us. His next comment was about signing a fella who's doing his medical, and that'll be touched on in the members show in 50, 40 odd minutes. Great to have you with us, Welling. This is actually a women's show, but feel free to stick around and hopefully be a bit educated about our women's team. But it's absolutely brilliant to see you along.
Absolutely, totally agree. Penalty, Demi. Great through ball from Shinji. Laura Berry. I think the Celtic players weren't very pleased with the awarding of it, but I would say there was enough there for Laura was turning. She was going to get away, and I think she gave the Celtic player a bit of stick after the penalty was awarded, and then Katie Wilkinson does what Katie Wilkinson does.
Yeah, I'm not entirely convinced it's a penalty, but also similarly the other end of the park, which we'll get to, I didn't think theirs was a penalty either. So, sort of evened itself out, whether you think it is or isn't, evened itself out. But I don't think either of them were, I thought they were both very, very, very soft penalties. But, it was given, and you just know from there Wilco's not going to miss. We won't mention the last one she took, but in a high pressure situation, Wilco's not going to miss from there.
Would you have thought it would have been a free kick, Demi, if it was in the middle of the park?
I'm not sure. I don't think so, because where's she meant to put her legs? Same with both ends. There isn't. I feel like there's been quite a few this week in multiple different games across the genders where they're supposed to snap their foot off. But I'm not convinced either of them were penalties. But whether you think it or not, we'll move on. That's my personal opinion. Not saying it's right. It's just my opinion.
It's not right.
Well, that's your opinion. That's your opinion. I have my own opinion. But yeah, from there, there's only ever going to be one winner, and like you say, Wilco gets us back on even level terms.
Absolutely, and that's what it's all about, folks. Opinions. Nobody's right, nobody's wrong. It's all opinions. Wolf, second goal for Celtic. It was I mean, a ball from their own deep in, like right in their corner flag. It started there, and we got the ball back and then lost it, and then they just ran through the whole from inside their own half the whole way. And Emma Lawton, I think, as Demi said earlier, just pointed to where she wanted it, and the ball was delivered. As I said earlier, Jenna Fife got unlucky with that goal. I think it just sort of just bounced wrong for her, and 2-1 up.
Yeah, I mean both goals. When I didn't get my say on their first goal. Far too many touches inside the box. I mean, there's some teams will play against some teams that won't get 4 touches in their box the entire game. They got 4 touches in their box before they put that in the net, the first one. So bad, sloppy goal. Great goal to score. If you're the team scoring that goal, you think that's a fantastic goal. Terrible goal to lose. Other penalty, as I say, I thought it was a penalty. She brought Laura down, so for me it's a penalty. Their second goal again, really bad defending. You can't let a striker stand there and say, look, just put the ball there and I'll stick it in the net. I mean, Jenna was raging quite rightly, so I think the defence let her down. But at the end of the day, it made for a great game. We can look at it a bit more sort of sparingly because we know that the outcome at the end of the day. But I thought they were both the first 2 Celtic goals were very, very poor goals to lose. And then obviously we give away a penalty, which despite Demi's protestations otherwise, I thought was a penalty. I mean, it was soft, don't get me wrong, but you can't even be a little bit pregnant. You know what I mean? I thought that, Lee Meng-Wen left a leg, and the last years ran into it. But if you're going to leave a leg dangling, that's exactly what a striker's going to do. That's what a good attacker's going to do. Because I'd expect if it was a Celtic defender leaving the leg, I'd be expecting either Laura Berry or Wilco or whoever just to fall over it and go, that's a penalty ref, because it's a penalty. You can't really argue with it. And as I said earlier, Jenna very nearly got her hand on it.
Yeah. Alan, were you convinced it was a penalty?
Yeah, listen, it was a penalty. It was a lazy challenge from Lee Meng-Wen. She's impressed in the short time that she's had on the park for us, but I think she struggled yesterday. It was no surprise that they went at the right side of our defence. We looked a bit better when Louis Eddy came on and certainly played out of position playing it right back, but Leah came on and steadied it up a wee bit. But the second goal particularly was just an example of where we've been lacking all season. But we're not strong enough in midfield, and we haven't been all season. Trin's a great player, but she loses the ball by being overpowered and the corner flag. We've got the ball, we're attacking. We lose the ball in the corner flag because Trin's not strong enough. And they run right through our team, get right into our box, and then find somebody with acres of space to go and finish it. It's a dreadful goal to lose, but it's emblematic of our problems all season. As much as there's been good individual performances in the middle of the park, we've not dealt with the loss of the 3 mainstays of our midfield that we lost in the summer. The penalty really rubbed salt in the wounds. It was defensively we'd struggled, and that really put us up against it. Being 2 goals down in an Old Firm game is always a mountain to climb, and we weren't quite seeing enough signs that the players were going to climb that mountain.
Yes, sorry, I was on mute there because I was having a coughing fit and I was trying to get off mute and it wouldn't work. So yeah, for fairness, I'm going to agree with Demi. I thought it was extremely soft. I thought she made the most of it, but
Brian, it was soft. We said it was soft, but it's a penalty. It's a foul. As Alan said, in the middle of the park, you're getting that as a free kick, right? And the way you've got to look at it, would you, if that challenge is at the other end, would you want the penalty? You would want the penalty. It was a penalty. Unfortunately, it was a penalty, but it was a lazy challenge.
Yeah, I just don't think Lee Meng did an awful lot wrong. I just think she ran into her foot and just went over it. Simple as that. I don't think Lee Meng went Lee.
We're not here to argue over whether it was a penalty or not. Let's move on.
I know.
Let's move on.
Absolutely. Alan, sorry, Demi, Shinji Kim has a great ball through for Lee Meng Wing at the right hand side. I did when she first crossed it. I didn't think it was going to get there, but Laura Berry was in there to sweep it home, and I would say this could have been the turning, not the turning point of the game, but it certainly gave the girls a boost going into that half time.
Yeah, I mean, like you say, Shinji Kim's got, loads of talent. She's really good on the ball. Obviously her like Alan's just said, our weakness is our lack of physicality. But, I do agree with you. You didn't think that ball was going to get to sort of Lee Ming-Gwen, but we should never really have doubted Shinji Kim there, to be honest. It was some cross from Lee. Almost found Laura Berry perfectly. And, as Dad's quoted already, Laura Berry, lethal from a yard.
Absolutely. She was quick to get the ball back, Demi, wasn't she? She was right in there and, retrieved the ball very quick. So she was eager to get on with it. Yeah,
you seen her sort of, running straight down, picking the ball up, and she didn't really seem too bothered about, sort of celebrating. She was just straight back up to kick off again. And, that's obviously always good to see because, you're still behind at the end of the day. So get on with the game.
Absolutely. And I'll come to you because you were at the game. What was the feeling like at half time? 5 goals, 3-2 down. Was there a feeling that you could still win this?
Definitely. I think the Laura Berry goal just before half time really changed the mood. Was it a bit of a worry that Laura Berry went in on the yellow card? She went absolutely bananas at the referee and then get booked shortly after for leaving one late on one of the Celtic defenders, which I'm never going to be upset at seeing any of our players do. But it was always going to be very difficult for Laura after that because you could tell at times in the second half she wanted to make a challenge and knew she couldn't. And the way Laura plays and plays at her best is when she's playing a wee bit on edge. So half time was a chance for people to think, what the hell have we just watched? It was a chance to actually take a breath and wow. But I feel a relief more than anything else. I think that just knowing that we were still alive in the game, we'd shown we can go and score against him. Okay, first one was a penalty, but we'd shown we could create chances against him, and as much as they've improved, they're still not great at the back. They can still be got at, and hopefully other teams notice that as well. But certainly only 1 goal behind at half time. We expected to come out very strong in the second half, and it's not really how the second half started compared to what we'd witnessed in the first half. The pace completely dropped out of the game in the second half, and that was a bit concerning because, or I'm maybe jumping ahead a wee bit, but you're starting to worry, where we getting enough pressure on to force a mistake or find a way through?
Yeah, I mean, Wolf, the girls obviously put so much in that first half. 3 goals conceded, 2 scored. I think to have another half like that was asking an awful lot. So it was a high tempo that first half, an awful lot of effort went in. So I suppose it's not surprising that the second half just kind of dipped away and wasn't as enthralling as the first half.
Well, quite often you'll get a high scoring first half of a game of football, and in the second half, there's nothing happens. It's at all levels of football. I mean, you can watch the English Premiership where it's 4-3 at half time and it finishes either 4-3 or 4 each. You know what I mean? Same in the Scottish Premiership, and you can watch it down your local park. A team, you can have a game they're going hammer and tongs at each other, and there's no goals in the second half because it's naturally going to drop off because players get tired and they sort of calm themselves down a little bit. You've got to remember as well, we've got players in there that haven't played an awful lot of football. You know what I mean? I mean, Raf's not long back from injury. So she was obviously going to tire. It was good. Obviously she get taken off 20 minutes from the end of normal time, which is good. It was also great to see Kathy back. But again, I don't suppose they were expecting Kathy to have the extra half an hour as well. It turned out that substitution worked out really, really well. And Khalees Brookshire has only been here a couple of weeks, so I don't know how much football she played before she got here. So there's lots and lots of permutations and stuff like that. So I always think a game that's a high scoring first half, you very rarely get the same sort of second half. And conversely, you get a lot of games where the first half's a bag of nonsense, and then the second half's just ridiculous. You know what I mean? So it's very unusual to have two halves of football where they're going hammer and tong at each other for the whole game, and it ends up sort of 6-6 or whatever. You know, so that's unusual. So to find out that the second half was a lot more low key doesn't really surprise me.
I'll tell you what surprised us when the teams came out and started the second half. First half, Kelly's Butcher had them a lot on toast and was definitely our biggest threat. But in the second half, she was moved on the right-hand side. We moved sort of Wilco a wee bit in behind, Laura Berry through the middle, and Mia over to the left. Really surprised me because, as I say, Caliste was absolutely fantastic in the first half. So I would have expected her to stay and ask for more of the same. Kind of suggests to me that I think they feel she's going to benefit a wee bit more from being on the side of the dugouts and get a wee bit more coaching. But you know that's me making an assumption there because there's no other reason it made sense to make that change.
Yeah,
you maybe think it's because you maybe think that's because she's still trying to, Kelly's still trying to get used to how the team plays and stuff like that. So getting instructions that she can hear are going to benefit her integration into the team.
Yeah,
I certainly suspect that, but you know, I would have sent her back out in the second half and just said, pick up where you left off. She's absolutely petrified to face your pace. Keep going at her.
Yeah, I mean, spread out sort of subs yesterday, sort of Demi, Meng Wen Lee came off in the 58th minute for Leah Eddy, Laura Rafferty and Mia Macaulay coming off for Catherine Hill and Camille Lefay, and then Jodie McCleary coming off 85th minute for Quinty Sabaggio. So, plenty, the subs were very sort of spread out yesterday. It's, again, trying to change the game because they're chasing it. So, 3-2 down, you're trying to get all the attacking sort of subs on. So, difficult. I mean, there was, apart from the players that came on, that was pretty much the experience. That was all the experience they had on the bench, wasn't it?
Yeah, we've always criticised sort of previous managers for leaving subs too late, at any game, but particularly when we're getting beat, because previously you knew it was 70 or 75 minutes before a change was getting made, but Leanne can see that obviously we're still behind and it's not quite working out the second half how she wanted it to. So, she's made those changes at a time she, sort of felt was appropriate. And I think, it was also very good to, because it could have been easy to play these players sort of, just sort of keep them on and risk re-injuring them. So, I would say it's good for their game management, and it brings fresh legs onto the pitch and sort of B, fresh eyes into the pitch, fresh ideas. And obviously we didn't see the game. We've only sort of heard what the commentators had to say and seen the highlights. But, by all accounts, Camille Lefay had a big part to play when she came on yesterday. So, I mean, I'm sure Alan will correct me if I'm wrong there, but, that's sort of what we've heard. And, so good to see her getting some proper minutes as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, Wolf, just quickly going on, the last, the third equaliser in the normal time, Laura Berry, deep cross from Shinji Kim into the back post. I believe it was Katie Wilkinson got the header across the post. I think.
Yeah, I think it was a corner. If I watched the highlights, it was a corner from Shinji Kim, and right on the Wilco's head. Wilco did all she could do from the position she was in. It just went a wee deft header over the keeper. Unfortunately, we had it come off the face of the bar, but it wasn't really travelling. I mean, had she caught it properly, there's no way Laura Berry's tapping it in, because if it had been headed with force, it's ending up on the penalty spot. But it just hit the face of the bar, dropped at Laura Berry's foot, and I don't think she could believe her luck. I mean, it must have been about 91st minute. She just tapped it in and went, just like the whole place must have just gone bongo. I mean, you could hear it, because obviously the majority of the almost 1,000 crowd, I would imagine, would have been Rangers fans, and you could just hear the noise coming through the highlights, and that was it. There's no way back for them back into the game. So 3-3, extra time in cup semi-finals is notoriously a waste of time. Really, I mean, Alan will tell us whether it was a waste of time or not. There was only a couple of incidents that I'm aware of. One was a shot by Nick Dock, the keeper, tipped over the bar, and the other one was the penalty that that Jenna saved from them. But apart from that, it was probably, I would imagine it was probably just a case of why bother with extra time, we just go straight to penalties.
Well, there's actually that Laura Berry should have sealed her hat trick just before the end of extra time. She's put through. You thought she's got to score. I think the keeper's made a save, or defender's made a block. It's come back out to Camille, and it must not have sat for her. We're just screaming for her to hit it, and she just trying to find the right angle, and it just sort of peered out. But you worried having such a golden opportunity right before the end, if that'll affect the players getting into penalties. But in terms of subs coming on, Camille got more minutes than she's been getting. She was busy, she was everywhere. Quinty came on very late and only really get a chance of minutes because of extra time, but Quinty was really good. But Kathy Hill came on, hasn't played for months, obviously a lot of injury problems this season, and Kathy was absolutely magnificent yesterday. Absolute brick wall at the back. She was brilliant. She led for the back. She settled things down along with Leah, who came on a bit earlier. Absolutely brilliant performance for Kathy, and she'll have been absolutely delighted with that.
I mean, building up to the Berry equaliser in normal time, was there a feeling that a goal was coming, or was there a feeling of, we're just going to come up short?
There was a concern that we weren't doing enough to force pressure, but probably in the last 10 minutes of the game, we really did start to sort of ramp up, and Khalees got into the game a bit more again, and we just seemed to be starting to knock on the door, but having been so sort of timid and placid maybe for most of the second half, you were worrying if it was too little too late. And then we get in, the boards already went up, I think, for injury time when we started getting a succession of corners, and eventually Katie's header hits the bar and Laura's there to tap it in, and the place went mental.
Absolutely. Right place, right time, Demi. That's what good number 9s do. They find space. I mean, she was getting marked quite heavily just before, she scored, and then all of a sudden the centre half just left her alone, and dangerous thing to do inside the 6-yard box.
Yeah, definitely. From that sort of distance, you would never expect any striker, let alone Laura Berry, to miss. So, you could sort of see as well when she scored it, what it meant to, not just her, but everyone. I think for every save, every goal yesterday, it was proper team celebrations, after Jenna saved the penalty in the game, and sort of after every goal, it was, it was a proper togetherness, and obviously that's good to see, because I know for a while we weren't sure what was going on, and yeah, it's all around really good to see in the 90. And like you say, you can't leave your striker unmarked in the 6-yard box, and Laura does what she's been doing more frequently of the recent days.
Brian, as Demi's mentioned it, the celebration, the team celebration on the penalty save in extra time, when, by the way, I really felt for Leah Eddy, because I think by the laws of the game it was a penalty for handball, but where the hell's her hand supposed to be? For me, given the way she was standing and the defending position she was in, her hand was in a natural position, but because it's away from the body, then it probably is a penalty. But what I really liked about Jenna, they all came over to congratulate her, and she pushed them away and said, "Look, we've still got to defend us. We've still got some defending to do here." I think that's great in a goalkeeper, because it shows that she's staying concentrated, although she's obviously delighted at what she's just achieved. She's staying concentrated for the team. I think that in a goalkeeper, I think that's absolutely fantastic, because a lot of less experienced goalies will take the plaudits and then suddenly go, we're still under attack here. So I thought that was really, really good, pushing them and saying, "Look, you need to go and still mark your space and stuff." I thought it was just, as a team collective, I just thought it was absolutely brilliant. Yeah.
I mean, as Paul's just saying there, close proximity surely comes into it. I mean, she was no more than a yard away. I don't know what she's meant to do. Saw her arm off, or, I just don't know. It's very difficult.
Yeah, it's similar to what Demi was saying about the other ones. When you put in a challenge and you maybe get the ball, where's your foot supposed to go if you go through the ankle of the person you're up against? Where's Leah supposed to put her hand? Because she knew nothing about it. She's standing sort of jockeying the position. So when you do that, your hand's naturally going to be out. And the ball hit her hand. You remember when they first changed the handball rule a few years ago, they changed it to if it hit a defender's hand at all in the box, it's a penalty. So attackers just started kicking the ball into the hand of the defender, and they went, well, it's a penalty. So they had to change it, and they brought in the close proximity rule then. But I think it probably was a penalty, but we can say that now because Jenna saved it. You know what I mean? I think I'd be raging had that been the one that cost us a place in the final, but it didn't. So we'll say it was a penalty. We'll give Jenna her moment in the spotlight.
Absolutely. So of course, Alan, we head into penalties. What's the mood like in the camp? We've scored a last minute goal in normal time, extra time. We've had a couple of chances. As there's what was there confidence going into the penalty shootout?
There was a lot of nerves, certainly. As I said earlier, I was really happy that we front loaded our penalty takers. Seen Katie step up first, and I always like going first in penalty shootouts. I like being the one that the team setting the pace. So that certainly gave me a wee bit extra confidence. So Katie steps up. She's already scored one in normal time. So she steps up and scores, gives us a really good start. And for all our penalties after that, Katie was running down and making sure she got the ball to give to whoever was next. Katie was a proper leader in that penalty shootout and led from the front, not just by going and scoring, but going and being a cheerleader for the girls going next and for Jenna. So Katie started off really well and lifted the place, and then it went from there.
I didn't think, sorry, Brian, I didn't think she was allowed to do that. I thought once you take your penalty, you had to go back on the halfway line. I don't know the rule behind it, because normally it's the goalkeeper that gives you the ball back. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I mean, obviously she had allowed to do it because she did it. You know what I mean? But I'm surprised to hear that because I didn't know that had happened. I just wasn't sure how that. But I mean, if she did, absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, I suppose Celtic scored theirs first as well, Demi, and then Laura Berry scores hers, and then the fourth penalty Celtic miss, and then the doors ajar for Rangers.
Yeah, sorry. Like I said earlier, you've got to give sort of special credit to our four that did score their penalties. I thought they were all really, really strong penalties, and it's a penalty can be sort of high pressure at any moment, but in a game like that against your sort of biggest rivals, it takes some bottling. I said to Dad before, when we seen who was stepping up to sort of take the penalties, I think the only one that really surprised me was Brookshire taking one. She's obviously only been sort of in the building a couple of weeks, and I think that showed a lot of belief in herself, a lot of confidence, and I thought it was a very sort of team move to take, especially being that new. But yeah, like I say, me and Dad had this conversation yesterday, and if all your strikers can do is score all their penalties, and like we said earlier, if your keeper can sort of get anything on one, brilliant. And like we say, all plaudits to Jenna. But I do also think, I think the first penalty that they missed, correct me if I'm wrong, Dad, the first penalty that they missed, I thought was a shocking penalty to be fair to begin with. But we'll give the credits to Jenna, although I do think it was a shocking penalty.
Yeah. I mean, Wolf, the Brookshire penalty, it was it was almost one of those down the middle ones, and you don't like them, do you? Straight down the middle. It was just left of centre, but I mean, a good penalty because it went in.
Yeah, any penalty that goes in is a good penalty. I mean, Alan's right. It's good to see that we've basically front loaded it by putting the strikers up. I always like to see a captain leading from the front and taking a penalty. However, I also like to see a penalty taken. Now I know their captain was up first and she scored, but then the second one up was also a defender, and as Demi said, that was an awful penalty. I mean, it was a really, really, really poor. I mean, as long as Jenna didn't dive the wrong way, it was basically straight into her arms, And then that was us in the box seat. And while they were sort of sorting out the penalties, I was driving back out to Edinburgh, and we're trying to decide who would take. Me and Demi were trying to decide who was going to take the penalty. And I wasn't even sure who was still in the park because I hadn't kind of kept a note of the substitutions because obviously I was at the game at Easter Road. And I'm saying, well, obviously Wilco and Laura Berry, they're going to take them. And I said, I said to Demi, look, it's the technically gifted players you want to take penalties. So, if Shinji Kim's still on the park, she's technically gifted, she'll take it. Khalees Brookshire, obviously, Yes, Demi says, yes, she's just in the door, but she's a technically gifted player. I mean, the penalty showed that because she ran up as if she was going to absolutely smash it.
Yeah.
And because I looked at her and thought, she's smashing this. And I know she'd scored it because I only saw it back again in the highlights. And I think the keeper thought she was going to smash it and dive to the left, and she just rolled it past her. You know what I mean? It was one of those, the keeper's going to move, so I'll just roll this down the middle. It was a fantastic penalty. It showed such coolness, and you know what I mean. It's a real pressure situation, because if you run up like that, there's every chance you're going to just spoon it over the top. There's every chance you run up like you're going to catch it fat and launch it over the bar. But she just stroked it in, like you say, in the middle of the net, and then fantastic save from Jenna for the. I mean, I'll take issue with you saying that Celtic missed two, they didn't. Jenna saved two. There's a difference between. I'll go back to what the late great Johnny Hubbard once said to me. He said, I took 48 penalties for Rangers, scored 45, and I never missed any because goalkeepers saved 3 of them. Yeah. So, you know, Jenna saved 2 of the penalties in the shootout. And the second save was brilliant because she actually held the ball. It was a decent penalty. It was a decent height for her, but she managed to hold on to the ball. And then she just took off, and it was fantastic. I mean, I'd love to have been there. See, I mean, I love a penalty shootout, usually if we're not involved in it, because obviously it's nerve-wracking stuff. You know what I mean? But I think, Alan, is that the first time we've been involved in a penalty shootout in a women's game?
We were talking about it at a game yesterday. I think the Glasgow Cup game against them, like 2.5 years ago, went to a penalty shootout, but I wasn't there for it. So it's the first one I've seen, but it's the second one I've actually seen at Broadwood. And the last time I saw a penalty shootout at Broadwood, it was absolutely farcical, because taken down at the sports centre end of the ground, the wind just picked up. And you know how windy Broadwood can get. It took the players about 5 minutes to spot the ball every penalty. So I was glad we didn't have to contend with that. In answer to Paul's question, my favourite penalty, it's hard to pick because we took 4 penalties and scored 4 of them in the shootout. But Shins were... I've not even had a chance to watch him back yet, but Shin seemed right in the corner. And after your strikers take penalties and score him, then you start getting into your midfield, and you know, it just settles you down so much when you get quality penalties taken. And we never did get to find out who was going to take number 5. My money would have been on 20, to be honest. Talk about technical players. I think Quinty might have taken it.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Keith might be on something. I think Nick might have fancied it as a captain, sort of leading the line, because you know there's always the thing, if you don't put your hand up to be in the first 5, you're a wee bit of a coward, and she wouldn't want to be thought of like that. But I mean, as we said earlier, the technical players you want it, because you just want, it doesn't matter who takes them, you just want to score them. You know what I mean? And it's whoever's confident. I mean, if Wilco hadn't been feeling confident, just take her out the firing line. But obviously she was, and she scored it. But I mean, talking about Alan, you're talking about the other penalty shooter you'd seen there respotting the ball. I've got a very, very old friend of mine, a guy I've known a long time. He's got a theory that if you respot a penalty, you miss it. And the one that put us through, the lassie had to respot it, and it was a terrible penalty. So he might be onto something.
Yeah. I mean, the Shinji Kim penalty was in the side net, and it was that good. It wasn't even the corner; it was side net, and it was so good. I mean, I think my favourite penalty was just Katie Wilco's. It was just that set the tone for me. That gave the players the confidence just to all go, and as Joel says, you know, they were all fantastic penalties. But Demi, that's another cup final, 4 in a row, I believe, in the Sky Sports Cup. Glasgow City next. Small matter.
Oh, yeah, you know, I would love to say that, you know, the Sky Sports Cup can walk its way to Ibrox by now, but you know, I'm not going to underestimate Glasgow City, because you know I do expect the final to be sort of very different than the last time we met them in it. You know, I expect it to be very, very tough, but I also expect that, you know, we'll have the likes of Brogan, Lizzie, potentially Sarah. You know, the cup final's near enough 2 months away. So, you know, I'll expect that we'll have some of the sort of key players that we're missing back for that. But yeah, I have no doubt in my mind it's going to be a sort of tough game. But, you know, I look forward to it. Yeah,
I mean, Wolf, is there a bit of, I mean, just quickly looking forward to it, is there a bit of confidence in the team that they won the cup there last year?
Well, they've done it the last 3 years. This is seventh cup final in a row. Yeah, but it's the 7th cup final in a row between the 2 domestic cups, as Kathy pointed out on social media. I didn't realise it was 7 in a row, but it is. And yeah, look, we're used to the venue. right? Because we played there in the final last year. I doubt Glasgow City will ever have played there. But we've got some different players than we had last year. But some of the squad's the same. At the end of the day, it shouldn't really matter what the venue is. It's the team on the day. And as Demi says, the game's 2 months away. And right now, Glasgow City seem to be unbeatable. But in 2 months' time, who knows? Who knows where everybody might be in 2 months' time? They could get a couple of key players injured. I wouldn't wish that on anybody, but they could have that. We could have everybody back. We could be at full strength. It could be one of those days where one team plays the other off the park and doesn't get the breaks. Cup finals look after itself. We've got an awful lot more football to play before then, because there's still a league to win. We need to park all talk of the cup final just now until the end of March. I mean, tickets went on sale today. They didn't waste any time putting those tickets on sale today. We've got ours. I believe Cal was quick on the case at 3 o'clock when they went on sale and bought us ours. So we'll all be together at the cup final. So that'll be good. Because I'm really missing not getting the games. There's that many fixture clashes, but we won't go there. We won't go there just at the moment. It's just partly the men's team's fault for having so many Sunday games, right enough. But I know we've not got time here. I get that. But it would be remiss not to
see that sort of talk at 21 minutes past 7.
It would be remiss, Brian, at 21 minutes past 7, having covered the game, not to mention the new signing that we made in the week when we brought in a goalkeeper on loan. In fact, not even in the week; it was on Saturday, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We brought in a keeper on loan from Aston Villa.
Yep, Alan. What was your thoughts on the signing generally? I mean, it came out a bolt out of the blue, didn't it?
Yeah, very much so. We wondered at Thelma's absence last week if maybe she was injured, and then we signed a goalkeeper on Saturday, and we figured there's definitely something going on with Thelma where she's injured or otherwise unavailable. But we'll see if Sophia gets any game time. Out as much as the next 3 games are on paper very, very winnable. It'd seem really hard to open Jenna when she's on such a high. But quickly on City, I watched the semi-final on Saturday night. I should have blown them away.
Really?
That's got to be a blueprint that City can be got at. I think it'll be an interesting battle because I think the weakest area in both City's team and our team is midfield. So it'll be a very tough game. I don't expect there to be a big gap between the two teams, but our team can take a lot of heart. I think we were by far the best team at Petershill last week by all accounts. We got a late goal that maybe just kept us in the league race, and we've came through a very, very tough test to get to the final. So hopefully that gives the team a real shot in the arm. 3 relatively easy games on paper coming up to build a wee bit of momentum before we see the post-split fixtures. So chance we might see at least one player return next week on Sunday at Hamilton, but we'll see.
Absolutely.
And Brian, just because we didn't actually name her, the lone player from Aston Villa is Sophia Kelly.
Yeah, Kelly. Yeah. Double F as well. It's a strange spelling.
I found that quite strange, but as Demi said, she is Welsh.
Well, all right, okay. That makes sense. Absolutely, that makes sense. But as Wolf and Alan and Demi have said, the Sky Sports Cup final tickets are absolutely on sale now on the SWPL website. Get them there. So if you want to get
Motherwell's website, because I think they're sold direct from Motherwell with the game being at Fife Park, so that might catch a couple of people out.
Aye, so it'll go from the SWPL site to the Motherwell site.
Yes.
Yeah, Rangers have put a link out. Rangers put a story out about the semi-final with a link to it as well. So, but again, if you follow the link on the Rangers website, it takes you into the Motherwell one. So,
and it's men's international break, so send it to your friends,
absolutely.
Tell your kids about it if they're not old enough. Just share it, send it to everyone, and make a point of telling them it's international break.
Not only is it men's international break, I believe Scotland played the day before in their international friendly that weekend, so there's no excuse. Let's get that standard absolutely rammed full.
Yes,
and cheer the girls on to a 4th consecutive Sky Sports Cup. And I believe the final is actually on Sky Sports, despite the fact neither of the semi-finals were.
That was the same last year. They give the semi-final rights away to BBC, but they take the final.
It's mental, isn't it? Mental.
Yeah. The only game that shows the final, but they sponsor it.
It's nuts. It is. It's nuts.
Nuts. Absolutely. Well, folks, 5 minutes to go. The main members pod will be starting at past. We'll be back next week reacting to Hamilton versus Rangers in the SWPL. My thanks to Wilf, Alan, and Demi. Thank you, Wilf.
Always a pleasure to talk about a victory over the forces of evil, Brian.
Absolutely. Alan, thank you very much.
No, it's been a pleasure. I'll go and quickly refresh and get a drink before the pod in 5 minutes.
Absolutely. Demi, thank you very much.
No, thank you. It's been a blast, and thanks to everyone in the comments.
Absolutely. Yeah, thanks to everybody in the comments. It's been a busy pod. Extra time penalties.
So we'll quickly throw up. I'll go 9-0. It's about time we gave something absolutely hosing, and Hamilton are stinking. So 9-0. Laura Berry get the first goal.
Demi?
I'm going to go 7-0.
I'll go 8. I'll go 8 then, and I'll put Sabaggio to score first.
I'll put me and McCauley to score first then.
I don't want to go as low as 7, and I don't want to copy any of you. So it looks like I'm going double figures. So I'll go 10. I'll go teeny tiny numbers if it was at Broadwood, but it's not. But anyways, I'll go 10-0, and Khalees Brookshire for the opening goal. There you go.
There we go, folks. So as I say, we'll be back next Monday at 6:30. Quickly get your juice or your tea poured up. There's an hour pod starting in 4 minutes. But my thanks to Wilf, Alan, and Demi. Thanks to everybody in the comments. We'll be back next week at 6:30. Thank you for joining us, and we'll speak very, very soon.
And poor Alan's not even got time to boil the kettle.
I know.